Well, howdy there. Hello, everyone. I am here, ready to stream, ready to chit chat. We are having some news, some conversations today. Maybe even a little bit of gaming toward the end. I haven't decided yet. We just don't do fun stuff. Like, we don't do gaming very often, so I'm like, well, let's throw it in the mix every so often, perhaps. We'll figure it out as we go. What's up, Gayfesh? Hello, there's Jihariel, there's Andy's Mints. What's up? Hello to the YouTube chat as well. Ooh, Jackie Sins, thank you so much for the $1 super chat before we even started. I very much appreciate that. And look at that, we get to have a tiny sliver in the dono goal. Yay! So, how has everybody's week been? How is everybody's weekend going? I am so I have this mixed feeling. I'm a big rain person. Love me some rain. Big time. Absolutely. Like, hardcore, right? For the first time in my life, I'm like bummed out when it rains because I don't want to go shoot my bow and arrows outdoors if it's potentially going to be lightning. Like, and even if it's just rainy, I'm like, my bow is wood. I don't particularly want it to be exposed to high levels of humidity. So, just ever so slightly, tiniest bit of a bummer that I have an outdoor hobby now that needs the weather to be nice. Oh gosh. You know, that's so true, Hivesight. You know, you got me on that one. How else am I going to charge my arrows with lightning? I need some electric arrows. I need some shock arrows. It's funny that you bring that up because I did just pick up Tears of the Kingdom for the first time. Never moved to Portland, Oregon. I know. I'll just have to have a covered archery range. That's what I'll have to do. I'll have to have enough outdoor space near my house to build like a covered archery range that can go, let's say, up to like, I mean, realistically, for my purposes, I don't really need to go up past like 30 yards. I don't know. Anyway, we're having fun. What's up, Kitty Tick? Yeah, it is raining a little bit up there in Oregon. And I know rain smells so good. I didn't see any lightning yesterday. It was so stormy. Um, there were like tornadoes in, I think, Nebraska and Oklahoma. I really haven't looked into it in close detail. It was stormy where I live, but as far as I know, no serious risk of tornado. But yeah, it was a wild day. It was rainy all day, lightning all day. And then, ooh, Melody. Oh, that's so cool. I do horseback archery. I don't have the confidence in either of those skills to combine them. I have been, for some reason, having like a burning desire to ride a horse, though. Not like, it's not like I've never done this before. I'm pining after it. No, like I've ridden horses on, I'm going to say, two clearly distinct occasions. There's definitely two clearly distinct occasions that I went horseback riding. And I think I would be way better at it now because I am so much more confident in myself as a human person. And I'm bigger now. Like I was, God, I want to say maybe 12 at the oldest the last time I rode a horse. So I just really, really, really want to ride a horse. It's super weird. But yeah, I've been enjoying the archery. And then if I got pretty decent at both of those things, I could see myself enjoying horseback archery. But I also don't think that I'm going to get the opportunity to spend a huge amount of time with a horse. So, womp womp. Because you also have to. True, mama. Hello. I have a burning desire to ride a horse, says Vosh. True. Turkish draw. Yeah, is that like people shoot like they call it Mongolian style with like the arrow on the wrong side of the bow, basically. Stripper pole archery. Is there really a guy who does that? I've got archery, knife throwing, and swordsmanship under my skill belt. Nice. You have to be able to hold the arrow straight during the bumps. Yeah. Um, it is a totally different style. Shooting a bow and arrow on a horse. And you also generally use like a shorter bow. That does, like, they're often still a pretty heavy draw weight, but it's like shorter a bit. My bow, like, if it's unstrung, is almost as tall as I am. I don't think I could, I mean, like, I could show you how big it is, but I can't show you how tall it is, because if I stand up, I'm out of frame. There's not enough space for me to have, I don't think, my whole, up to my head in frame. I think I've seen that same chick, Padfoot Sam, a lady on a talent show, fired a bow with her feet and got a bullseye. You could definitely post archery pics on the Fansly. Yeah. Especially because, like, they do let you see some of the musculature. Like, depending on the angle. Could be fun. I have had zero desire to even, for the most part, even take the kinds of pictures that I would normally post on Fansly for a while. So I unfortunately have not posted on the Fansly in a while. I sometimes I'll do a cute little outfit, but a lot of the time I'm like, listen, this is just for me. I just want to I just want to know that my ass looks good in these jeans right now. Oh, it's good though. I think it's good to take selfies. Even if you're not in a good mood, I think it's probably good to, like, I don't know, document yourself a little bit especially for a person with memory problems, like if you record a little video going like, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking about today. This is just for me to look at later and remember what was going on in this moment." And I mean, that's kind of where I see the value in having an object in my pocket that can take videos and pictures at any time of the day. Is that, yeah, I genuinely just like really have a bad memory, and it, I mean, it kind of makes you feel unmoored in your continuity if you're like, I can't remember things about conversations that I've had before or whatever. Oh my god, Dizzy, me too. I am also tired. It's been, you start to feel like life is just really long. Oh gosh. But yeah, it's like one of those things that you have to work through a bit. I'm sure obviously it's more significant if you actually have like short-term memory loss or amnesia, and like if you are the result of your life experiences, what are you without your memories? So there's like an identity problem that happens in there where you're like, yeah, I there are apparently like whole parts of my character that I have developed because I was friends with this person and I like don't really remember, and then I go back and look and I'm like, wow, I did not remember talking about any of this stuff with this person. Like, it's super weird. So at a certain point, you kind of just have to be accepting of it or find workarounds. And like one of the workarounds is taking pictures, like documenting stuff. What if I want to take selkies? You're gonna have to go find those yourself. I put pinto beans in sandbags to make my coat rack stop falling over, and now my hands hurt. Yeah, my hands hurt because I can't stop popping my knuckles. What's up, Duke Bonanza? No, you have not missed much. We've only been here chatting for like 10 minutes, so. Yeah, Eastern Archery, usually you use the thumb draw, which is like you put the string here and then you hold it with your finger and then pull it back. And then you release by just like letting your index finger flick off of your thumb. And the arrow, if you're shooting a bow like right-handed, you're aiming with your left hand. Basically, you're holding the bow with your left hand and you have the string with your right hand. And then the arrow typically goes on this side, the side that's closer to you. If you hold the bow away from you, then the arrow is on the closer side. And then in the Mongolian style, you typically, because you're drawing from a quiver, you're basically like putting the arrow on the outside edge of the bow. So it's just like different. It's a different dynamic. Voice notes work also if you write stuff down. Yeah, you can do voice to text like notes. Or my phone has a stylus, so if I just pull out the stylus on my phone, it pulls up like a note-taking thing, and then I can just take notes and then hit the save button. I don't check those though. I will occasionally go through my pictures and videos and be like, oh, I need to delete some stuff because my storage is getting full or whatever. But I don't really go read through my notes so much. Dizzy says, I am not the sum of my life experiences. I am the sum of the impulses I act upon. I mean, personally, I think it's kind of both. But also, even if you don't remember, stuff that you've been through still impacts you and like changes how you are now. Quivers are usually on the leg. On the left or the right? Is it on the right? Yeah, like you are the sum total of your decisions and actions and the consequences therein. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Little existential questions for you today. This is my problem. I don't check on the past recordings. I'll go through and be like, oh, is this a Patreon video? Did I post it on Patreon? Okay, then I can delete it and it doesn't need to be in my personal phone anymore. I used to try to keep a diary to remember how I felt, and now I'm embarrassed by how I felt in the past, so I deliberately refuse to read the diaries. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I think, Mama. Like, memory isn't all conscious. Like, things integrate into yourself, and then you, like, don't actively think of them, but they're still impacting you. Like, I know, like, there are people out there who genuinely, like, can't make new memories or whatever, right? Like, they're working on information from the past, or there are people who, like, have the opposite where they can remember, like, new things, but they can't remember old stuff. And, like, they live their lives, right? People with way, way more significant memory issues than I do are out there living, like, moving forward. They clearly, like, have some sense of identity. So, yeah, not all decisions are conscious either. I think that that's probably really good to think of. Like, it kind of feeds back into this thing that I've been really hitting on a lot lately is I don't think that people do messed up things on purpose. I think that like that's why therapy is a thing that people do, is because your therapist can listen to you and be like, this is what you're doing. Like, if you're a person who has a string of chaotic brief relationships, like, let's say you're a woman who is, like, going through, like, a bunch of short-term relationships with guys who don't really respect you, a therapist is going to help reveal to you that you're seeking after people who remind you of your parents. Like, you don't even know that that's what you're doing until the therapist points it out to you. And, like, I think that's true of most people, but it's just, knowing that that's what therapy is going to be, I think probably puts some people off, because there is, like, an inherent need to be willing to, like, address your shit. And, like, it's really hard. It's super, super hard for, like, when therapists point out, like, this is you being codependent, or, like, this is you acting from a place of trauma. Like, oh man, it's so difficult, because then you have to go, shit, yeah, I am doing that. And then you have to stop doing it. Like, you have to notice when you do it, like, when your thoughts are making the situation worse. Like, when you find yourself ruminating, when you find, like, me, I'm a pacer. I pace when I get upset. And if I'm, like, thinking about the thing, like, it genuinely greatly diminishes my working productivity when I get in these, like, I'm, like, compulsively pacing. Just, I get stuck in it. And, yeah, so it's like you have to recognize that you're doing it, and then make the interventions, and, like, be willing to try different interventions, because they don't always work the same every single time. I sleep when I'm upset. I have done that in the past. And I do sometimes, I'll go to bed early if I feel bad. If I'm like, I feel like there's no point in me being awake anymore, except that I'm going to be upset. Yeah, or being upset makes me tired. Oh my God, true. I'm just like, I don't have the energy for this. I'm going to go to sleep. And then I often don't sleep well through the night. So it's not like it, like, necessarily helps the problem of me being tired, but it does kind of hit the reset button on whatever I'm upset about. And at least I can approach the thing that I'm upset about the next day from a slightly different angle, What's up, your cuddly sloth? First time catching your live, welcome. I'm doing the thing where I have a lot of therapy thoughts during the show. Ooh, yeah, I notice when I'm depressed when my dental hygiene goes down the drain. Yeah, I find it quite difficult to take care of myself sometimes when I'm upset. Like, I just, like, the effort to do things is, I don't want to do it. Memory is weird. It often seems like a game of telephone. I mean, it kind of literally is. That's a really interesting observation, because I think that it's, like, generally known that, memory as the way that humans work with meat electricity brains is not really so much that it's like a file in storage that is hard coded and you pull it up and it's the same every time. You are remembering your last remembrance, more or less. Like all of your previous remembrances stack up. And then, like, the original memory can change meaning over time, details can get misplaced. Eyewitness testimony is not really considered reliable. Yeah, it's being re-encoded on each recall, basically, yeah. So, like, you change as a person, like, your perception of things changes over time. Yeah, so... Yeah, truly, how did this meat blob with built-in batteries make itself sentient? How have we gotten here? So it's like, yeah, I guess in a way it's almost kind of silly that I think for a lot of people, they would feel like if I couldn't remember things, like if I couldn't remember my family or if I couldn't remember yesterday, like I would want to kill myself. Like I think that for a lot of people, in that same way that people are like, if I had to be in a wheelchair, I would kill myself. You know what I mean? Like that just assumption that life would not be worth living if you did not possess a thing. I think that this is one of those that's kind of similar, where people think, oh, it's like the worst thing in the world to have a bad memory or like to not be able to remember stuff. Like if I couldn't remember my wife's name, that would be, dementia is considered like pretty universally a difficult and awful experience for everybody involved. But like, yeah, clearly, again, like you live your life. And then like even your momentary memories are not the best. It's like even people who have what is considered a normal memory, they're still remembering things slightly differently each time. And they don't have existential crises about who they fundamentally are. If they remember like, oh, I thought that the house we grew up on was on Maple Street. And like, nope, it was actually on 14th Street, like a totally different thing. Like, maybe it's just when the issue is more severe and noticeable that you start to feel like, oh, my identity is mixed up in this. Excuse me. Basically, the story of the Satanic Panic was that they made the kids re-remember things until they remembered stuff that never happened. I mean, yeah, isn't that a little bit like what torture is like? Have you ever looked into Joshua Bach's model of consciousness? He essentially says Hindu mystics were onto something by saying we are kind of like an invented character navigating a hallucination. I mean, I'm like sort of like, yeah, we construct a sense of self and we don't get to actually experience the world around us. We have to like simulate the world around us in our brains, like I'm touching this microphone stand, but first of all, the atoms are separate from each other, so like there's a technicality on if I'm actually even touching it, but like the sensations are, it's like my meat and there's like electricity in my meat and that goes up to my brain, which is mostly fat and electricity, and I am inventing a sensation. This is why pain is so interesting as a person with chronic pain. By the way, hit like if you're enjoying this conversation. I know that generally the first hour is supposed to be like chill chat, and this is very much not chill chat, but it is just kind of interesting to me. But yeah, we are just kind of walking around hallucinating pretty intensely all the time and feeling big feelings. And I mean, the stuff that's happening in your brain, this is part of why DBT is so powerful, and also like kind of why I don't like CBT, but like just different therapy models. The brain, because the brain is creating reality through our sensory information, it is also like possible for us to change our physical experiences by like thinking about stuff, you know? Like I've been doing cardio 4 days a week, and it's it's much more difficult to keep my heart rate in the low target range for exercise that I'm aiming for if I'm having a hard time not thinking about stressful stuff. Like if I'm stressing out, I have like a live feed heart monitor. So I'll be at like a steady 123 beats per minute in my heart so I'm trying to do like a steady state exercise for a long period. And then I start thinking about something stressful. I start thinking about, ooh, how am I going to say this? Or like, how am I going to approach this? And then my heart rate is like, now it's like 140. And I'm like, okay, like, it's good to know that I can make any cardio session more intense by just imagining talking to people that I'm stressed about. Like, everyone is a different guy every time they lose and regain consciousness for literally any reason, including sleeping. In some ways, this makes me worry a lot less about both identity and death. I mean, I guess, you know, you process down your information when you're asleep. And so, like, there are things that you experience through the day that get discarded, and there are things you experience through the day that get encoded. And then tomorrow you wake up and you've had a little software update, basically. I think that because there are things like lucid dreaming, and I also kind of like wake up throughout the night a lot, so maybe this is just a me thing, but I don't know that I would consider sleep to be a full interruption of consciousness. I don't think that it's a full break. I think if you went under anesthesia or had a coma, that would be different. Like, that is a more clean delineation, if that makes any sense. I simply do 30 counts of anxiety for my cardio. Exactly. I admire your resolve, Lux. I only do cardio 1 day a week because it's the worst. I'm doing a cut right now. I have lost some weight, and I'm trying to lose a little bit more weight before I go back to gaining weight. And it's going to be good. I really am... I am thinking about stopping my cut before I even get to my target weight so that I can squeeze in another bulk and then another cut before I have Renaissance Festival this fall. Like, I don't want to be super skinny when Ren Fair comes around. Schizophrenia is often explained as seeing people who aren't there, but the people are there in your brain cells. Calling out their location, I think it's essential to the healing process. As someone who had schizophrenic episodes, I know that it helped me. Yeah, like, obviously schizophrenia or psychosis, these are like really extreme examples of that same thing where it's like, this is one of the things that you cover in DBT about emotional regulation, is that once you start having an emotion, your brain tends to like keep chasing and reinforcing that emotion. And like the more intense the emotion is, the more convincing it is as far as your interpretation of events. Like, the more intense it is, the more real it feels, basically. Am I vegan? No, I'm not vegan. I respect the intentions behind vegans, and I agree with you all that factory farming is bad. But I literally am about to take a hunting course, so I am not vegan, unfortunately. My thoughts on veganism. Overall, you're right, except eggs and milk, but I am weak. Fair enough. I'm about to take a break from drinking milk, though, because of the bird flu. There's bird flu being found in... Somebody has to call the whitetails. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I am gonna be hunting rabbits primarily. Um, anyway, sorry. What was I about to say? I was trying to say something. I was saying something else. We've hit the time of day where my Ritalin has just worn off. I guess I could take another one. Milk, yes. Not just America, I don't think. There are outbreaks of bird flu elsewhere. So we need to be cautious about milk in general. But so pasteurization is the process by which we heat up milk to a certain temperature for a certain period of time, and that's supposed to kill all the microorganisms in it. Currently, there have been samples of commercially available grocery store milk that do have some, at least, like fragments of bird flu virus or perhaps dead virus. Unclear whether there's live virus in it, so we need more robust testing. People who are experts in bird flu are like, I am personally not going to be drinking milk for the foreseeable future until we have more definitive proof from the CDC that there is not attenuated bird flu, basically. And like, yeah, so hypothetically, there should be a really obvious texture difference if the cow is affected by bird flu, like the milk doesn't come out right. But yeah, I'm basically gonna switch to oat milk for a while, and if it ends up being really yummy, then maybe I'll just permanently switch to oat milk. If it's too expensive, then I'll just buy oats and make oat milk. You know what I mean? Like, people say that it's really texturally quite similar to milk. So I'm just talking about it on my show because, you know, we're a COVID conscious chat here, and we want to avoid other types of sickness as well. Soy milk should be okay, yeah. I think yeah, you can make oat milk. Oh yeah, Murph mentions chronic wasting disease from deer, and apparently we're on an uptick of chronic wasting disease from both wild and cultivated venison. And I'm like, I thought that chronic wasting disease had symptoms. Are these hunters like just not paying attention to these deer having weird symptoms? Plant-based milks do not go through the same processing that cattle milk goes through. Yeah, yeah. You're not dealing with animals who are sick and we're trying to prevent their sickness from being in the milk. We're talking about these plants are being squeezed to get their liquids out, and they don't have bird flu on them. I should not have to know what the texture difference between bird flu milk and regular milk is. It's their responsibility to make sure that milk never gets to a grocery store. So they are trying, at least. And the only reason I really even mention it is because there is a possibility always that something might slip through. So generally, yes, they are there. If they are seeing that texture difference, basically like the milk comes out as colostrum instead, um, of like milk properly. Colostrum is like a pre-milk substance that mammals create. So it should be obvious if you're milking the cow whether it's coming out right or not. It's like it should happen, you know, but things can slip through when you're talking about mass scale industrialization. Oh, if I remember correctly, it can take at least a year for a deer to show symptoms of chronic wasting disease. That's unfortunate. Good thing I don't plan on hunting deer anytime soon, though. I'm probably not going to try to hunt deer for a couple years at least. Mostly, like, I can kill rabbits and I know what to look for as far as teleremia goes. I don't know what the colloquial term for that is. Why is almond milk even an option? Yeah, it's not good. Don't drink almond milk. It's so bad for the environment. Um, what would we do if Republicans starved us? I mean, they're gonna basically inadvertently do that anyway. Like, I talk about it on my show quite a lot that there's just gonna be like climate change related food shortages, and that our extremely reactionary form of governance is not going to account for these things soon enough for there to not be gaps in production. Like, of course, we can establish new farmland in places in like Nebraska that are gonna, and like South Dakota, that are gonna become more temperate for more parts of the year, right? The problem is, currently a lot of our farmers live further south. So what are you going to do if it becomes too hot to farm in Oklahoma, but that farmer like can't get anyone to buy the land because no one wants to buy huge chunks of land that can't be farmed? Like, who's going to subsidize them moving north is what I'm saying. So there's going to be a gap period, and obviously I'm not going to pin that entirely on Republicans, although Republicans are the most overtly resistant to making like plans long term for climate change and like addressing it sincerely. So, kind of the government as a whole, through their inaction on climate change or their lack of sufficient action, let's say, it is heading this direction where lots of people are not going to have access to food, not have access to certain kinds of food, or be priced out of affording certain food. So the solution, which I talk about quite a bit on this show, is to just start producing your own food. You're never going to need to produce all of your own food, I don't think. Like, there will always be food in the grocery store, right? But it's about what is going to get more expensive. Like, meat is going to get more expensive if thousands of cows we're trying to grow these cows so that we can kill them and eat the beef. If they're all dying from heat stroke, not all, but if a lot of them are dying from heat and dehydration during these really hot summers, then like beef is going to be really hard to get a hold of in the grocery store, right? So learning how to hunt, like if there's a bunch of bird flu in the chicken coops and industrialized farming continues to have this, bird flu and like fires. A couple of summers ago, there were a lot of fires that were impacting the number of meat chickens and eggs and all. It's like, okay, keep your own chickens, learn how to hunt rabbits. If you are a person who really loves oranges, or if you really need vitamin C in your diet, then, oh, you know what? Look at that. I'm going to build a tiny greenhouse and start growing an orange tree in there, because if it gets hotter in those places where they're currently growing them, and if there are fuel shortages or like any supply line problems, like we've already seen supply line problems where there are just big chunks of our grocery shelves that are empty. We've already seen all this happening the last couple of years, so it's just going to keep happening more. So you just find local ways of producing some amount of your food. If you're like, I keep one goat because I can get milk and cheese out of it. Okay, cool. You basically have a pet goat that you use to get a couple of products from. I really want to get chickens. Yeah, I'm not like excited to have chickens, but I do perceive it as being probably a necessary thing. I have chickens, ducks, and a garden. I am so excited for next week because I get to finally plant. It's going to be the first week of May. I'm getting a community garden plot. I have a bunch of tomato and basil that's been growing in my house, and I'm ready to go plant it in the ground. I also have some seeds, and like carrot seeds mostly, that I'm going to use for foods. Like, oh, I'm so ready. Next week is going to be so exciting. I'm getting a tattoo next week. I'm starting on my garden. Like, I've already started it, obviously, because of, like I said, I have plants that are going to need to be transplanted, but it's going to be exciting. I'm actually very excited about the prospect of chickens. Yeah, I see the chickens as like an unfortunate necessity more than anything. I have a new bargain bin orchid. Cool. Is it a Phalaenopsis orchid, or do you know? I have two Phalaenopsis orchids, and I think that they are nice because they will tolerate me ignoring them. Yeah, Duke Bonanza. Shout out to Jonathan Colton. We're all going to be jamming out to Johnny C later this week, actually. Later this week. The moth orchid. Ooh, cute. I've been getting dying moth orchids from grocery stores on discount and then caring for them. I do that same thing. I am actually, like, probably about to slim down my plants a little bit because there are just a few too many of them for me to have any desire to take care of them. Just a fair warning, if you have more than 2 chickens, you will have too many eggs. Okay. What if I need to feed several people and also have decided that I want to start baked goods selling? I just I can come up with something. And then honestly, you can feed the eggs back to the chickens, or I could scramble the eggs and like feed them to the local crows or something. No such thing as too many eggs. Too many eggs. Too many eggs. We're chilling like villains today. You know what would be really funny is if we could get to 69 likes during the dumb part of the stream where we're not talking about anything serious. We could at least get to 50, right? There's 54 viewers right now. That means we gotta at least be able to get to 50. Having too many eggs means food for neighbors. True. Having too many eggs means I'm gonna have neighbors who are happy with me. Or that I need to start up a little thing at the farmer's market. Oh, oops. Messed up. There you go. We had about 5 chickens, and they each laid 4 or 5 eggs a day most of the time. Why? Like, ooh, that's so many eggs. Yeah, it's great when someone else has chickens that are producing way too many eggs. You got your egg-laying chickens, and they're separate from your meat-growing chickens. And you can also have the chickens, like, pick an area clean. If you're like, I've decided that I want to clear out all of the vegetation in this area, you can cut down, like, the big parts of the vegetation and then put the chickens there. And, like, genuinely, they will eat literally anything. So if you want there to be, like, a patch of dirt with no grass and no bugs on it, the chickens are your guys. Yeah, just eat a 4-egg omelet twice a day. No worries. Just make one challah. It's like 50 eggs. I do love challah. I had it once. I made it. Well, I've had it more than once, but I've made it once, and it was pretty yummy. I made like a cinnamon challah. Mayonnaise also. Can't forget about those egg products. I could make and sell meringue. An eggs Benedict for 2 takes 9 eggs. Why? Is it just because of the hollandaise sauce? Because you use egg yolks in the hollandaise? But each sandwich only gets one, you get like one kind of fried egg on each sandwich, right? And then you put 7 egg yolks into the hollandaise. What? Okay. I've never made eggs Benedict before. Also, apparently it's really tough because it's easy for the hollandaise to break or like separate. Let's not do food, okay? Let's not do food today. You can also pickle the eggs. That's very true. They're just the gift that keeps on giving. Just eggs and eggs and eggs and eggs and eggs. More eggs. Can you grow lemons in Kansas? I don't think you could really grow them outside of a greenhouse that was temperature controlled in the winter. Because our winters are pretty gnarly for tropical plants like that. I know, everybody loves deviled eggs. I do actually want to make deviled eggs, I think at least a couple times of the year that aren't Thanksgiving. We don't really do an Easter celebration, although I think that's one of the other times of the year that you'll tend to have deviled eggs. Deviled eggs are, they're tricky. They'll get you. You'll eat way too many. Okay, I appreciate the warning. Have a safe number of chicken for how many eggs you want. My aunts make amazing deviled eggs, and my sister tried to make them, and I guess they didn't give her the recipe correctly, and I'm mad the good deviled eggs are all the way down in California. It's really, really easy to make them. It's literally just you do the egg yolk and a little bit of mayo, some yellow mustard, a little bit of salt. Let's see what else goes in there. A splash of white vinegar. And I guess you can do a pickle relish if you want to. But yeah, it takes shockingly few ingredients to make it really yummy. And then of course you want some smoked paprika on top. Delicious. Sweet relish. Listen, sweet pickles, in my humble opinion, are an abomination. I think they're an abomination. I hate sweet pickles. I'm not a fan. Don't like bread and butter pickles much either. I want salty, kosher dill. They don't actually have to be kosher. They're just like dill pickles. Or spicy pickles, but not sweet. Ugh. Dill pickle supremacy. Eh. Eh. Honey mustard is awesome for deviled eggs. I don't want that. I don't want honey in the mix. Sweet pickles are good on specific things. What are the specific things? I'm willing to try them on the specific things. Have you ever had Sharaset? I don't know what it is, so I don't think so. I was an egg once. I think many of us here were eggs once. Once upon a time, once upon a dream. Haroset. Haroset. Okay, no, I don't know what that is. Haroset? Sweet relish on grilled cheese. Oh, it's from Passover. The Passover dish. It's a mixture of apples, dates, walnuts, honey, and wine. Yeah, no, I don't think I have, but it sounds super yummy. Gushers do not hold up to the childhood memories. I know. I do think that they actually just genuinely used to be better now, and more often now they're like harder. Specific ingredients differ from community to community. Yeah, no, I've not tried that. I like honey in certain applications. I just think honey in a deviled egg is just not what I want. Together our ideas are unstoppable. Yeah, I believe they've changed the fruit snacks. Oh, a lot of snacks they've changed to be healthier for the kids. Mm-hmm. Are y'all hungry? Is that why are we on food for so long? Oh, we were talking about bird flu. Okay, I realize how we got here now. I'm like, why are we talking about food? Normally, I don't start to get hungry until later in the show. Oh yeah, and someone asked, "Well, like, what do we do if Republicans try to starve us?" Like, yeah, start growing food locally. Join a community garden. Check your local ordinances with regards to whether you're allowed to keep chickens. Just open your streams with mukbang segments. That would scare people away. I think it really would. And if that first hour doesn't go too well, then usually the subsequent couple of hours don't go too well either, which is interesting. But yeah, I think if I started by eating, then a lot of people would leave. But those meals would be tax deductible. So it's tempting. The temptation is there. There's temptation. If I could get my family to agree to it, I would invite folks to come help me garden. It's just hard. Yeah, you're like, can I get my parents to agree to me having strangers in our backyard for like hours at a time? Multiple times a month, probably. Luxander mukbang ASMR with politics and drama all at once. Whew. What are plans for this week? Does anyone have any fun plans for this week? Like I said, I am getting my tattoo later in the week, and then I get to start planting in my garden plot. So those are kind of the things keeping me going right now. I want to recruit local friends to get into shellfish harvesting. Like, you're gonna go harvest clams, and then what? You gonna eat them? Keep them as pets? Ooh, Crane, happy birthday. Happy pre-birthday. I got a friend's birthday party on Tuesday. Nice. Gonna eat the clams. Okay. I can't remember if I've ever eaten clams before. Like, I can't recall if like you eat them. Do you cook clams? I cannot remember. This week I have to find a job. Bummer. You steam them sometimes. Okay. Do you mostly eat them raw, like oysters? Gonna be flying up to see my daughter soon. Nice. Steamed clams with butter. Bread them and deep fry them. Okay. What's up, Bingo Bongus? That is a solid name. Appreciate you stopping by. We're on our journey to get to 50 likes today. We're still kind of meandering conversation, talking about whatever. Some people eat clams raw. Ooh, gonna be doing barbecue ribs. That sounds delicious. Gonna be making some ginger kombucha this morning. That sounds yummy. But yes, I'm hungry. Yeah, I should have eaten before show today. And I dropped the ball a little bit. I dropped the ball on eating before the show. But I usually don't eat until after 2 p.m. anyway, because of the cut that I'm doing. But everything's good. Worst case scenario, I'll find something to snack on. Talking about food is easier than getting up and making food. It kind of creates like a satiation of talking about food. Like it does kind of help put off the hunger in a weird way. Nope, Crane, you have not missed the news. We're still chit-chatting. Oh, is Xanderhall streaming at the same time as me? Listen, if you have a choice between Luxander or Xanderhall, I think that you should support small streamers. I think Xanderhall is doing fine. You can watch the VOD later. Support Luxander, okay? Go to Luxander's website, go to the links in the description and buy a fucking hoodie. I think the choice is obvious. I haven't hung out in a Xanderhall stream in a long time. I have no idea what the vibes are like over there. But obviously, this is my show, and I like the vibes over here. Do you have tank tops as well? Yes. There are tank tops, and one of them is men's size, and the other one is women's size. There are also patches. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff over there. There's mug. There's a reusable grocery bag. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. Dizzy has a fucking patch. See? Luxander 2024, eggs for everyone. My live stream priority is a hierarchy of trans and queerdom overall. That's good. You do need pins eventually. They have like the round kind. They only sell in packs of 5. So I had considered doing like if EB the Purple was okay with it, taking like some of her emojis that she's made and put them on there so that you buy like 5 different emojis. But that's all they have is the round pins that you can put like a picture on. Patches hold better than pins. Yeah. I've been stretching a lot. I'm becoming an old person. So basically like most mornings I try to spend at least 20 minutes stretching. And then I go do cardio like 4 days a week. And then yeah. That's pretty much the most exciting shit that's happening to me right now. Being old. I tried to prepare myself beforehand, but I've stopped thinking about it as much since my birthday. I'm like, I am 30. Like, it's so strange. So unfortunately, if you guys get anything on the website, you want to make sure that you double triple check what size you're getting, because they can't do refunds on ready-made items. It's not like you're purchasing from a stock of hoodies that are pre-existing. They have to print them as you buy them, so double triple check, make sure you get the right size. $30 is not that old. I know! It's not that old. But I feel old. Sew-on or Velcro patches. I think the ones that I have are the kind that you iron on. You're 5 years younger than me. I'm old. We're all just inescapably getting older all the time. You're never gonna feel as good as you did when you were like 14. Drink water, it's good for your skin. I did not feel good when I was 14. I feel better now. I just meant like the vitality and energy. Invest yourself in a sewing tape? Yeah. This is my tailor's tape. I've had it for a really long time. It's very useful. I use it to measure all kinds of stuff. Growing pains. Okay, that's true. I'm 37 and I currently work with people with dementia all day. I feel young. Yeah, the comparison for sure. I guess I'm doing better than other people who are 30. Like, I remember in years past when I was like in my, mid or maybe early 20s, I would like be able to get up off the floor easily. And these people who are a few years older than me were like, "Oh my God, like oh, I could never get up off the floor the way that you just did. Like, I'll get up without using my hands, for example." And now I'm 30. I'm the same age as those people, and I can still get up off the floor without using my hands. Because it turns out you just have to stay physically active. Feeling old as hell because fibromyalgia and arthritis yeah, it's a killer combo. My hands were hurting earlier and they still do if I flex them in a certain way because I kept popping my knuckles and it does hurt sometimes when I do that. I can get off the floor without my hands, but I don't because it hurts. Totally fair. For most like able-bodied people, if you just were to be doing it more regularly, it would stop being painful or difficult. My joints crack all the time. I know. When I stretch, so I have like a deformity in my sternum, and I think that might be why sometimes if I stretch my chest open, I will have like a deep pop sound in my sternum. Like a kind of like it's more big and hollow sound than most of your joints. Yoga's good, stretching is good. Any kind of movement that you're capable of doing is good. This is my philosophy. Exercise is the best, but if you can only do movement and not exercise, that works too. Okay, yeah, there's at least one other person in chat who has the sternum pop. I broke my sternum before. Ooh, fun. Oh, the yawn. Yes, I've been a very sleepy boy lately, but I'm trying to bring an upbeat, positive energy to the show. Do we feel like the energy is like still somewhat positive? I used to have the sternum pop, but putting on weight seems to have stopped it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, having to adapt the way you stand and sit as your the way you go from standing to sitting as your knees get worse. Ooh. Fun fact, a lot of the sound that comes from stretching is actually breaking up muscle knots that hardened into muscle boogers that glued you together. Okay, fascinating. Vibing. Yes, that's what we're here for. There's too much craziness in the world. We're here to chill. We're here to vibe. We're gonna talk about annoying stuff in a little bit. Honestly, I feel like as far as segments that I can really say something about, I currently feel like I only have the one main thing in the title here. Like, we can talk about the cast review some more. I'm getting kind of annoyed with the cast review stuff. Like, it's just kind of whatever at this point. Let's see. Like, another post on Aaron's blog about how the trans surgery regret rate is incredibly low. Like, oh, wow. We've covered that numerous times recently. Cast report, something by Julia Serrano. Yeah, I feel like my main story for today is this Title IX stuff. There was some good news out of Germany. What's this? Oh, they basically passed a self-ID law in Germany. So that's cool. We could probably cover that. So I've got at least 2 subjects that are good for us to actually do like a proper segment about. And then the rest of the time we don't have to do anything serious. Isn't that great? We could do a little bit of an update about Columbia University as well. Although I think I did cover that last time. I think we talked about Columbia last time. Yeah, because we looked at the pictures of the student that was shot back in the Vietnam protests back at Kent State. Yeah, yeah, it's great of Germany to not be forcing trans people to produce papers now. Papers, please. So aside from those 2 topics, I think we are free to just chat about whatever. As usual, I am trying to get to a donation goal of $100. So obviously, if you buy merch, then you get something out of it. If you donate, you usually don't get a lot out of it. But my undying gratitude, gratefulness. Anybody who thinks the cast review is good demonstrates that they are ignorant to the science. Major scientific breakthroughs that flipped understanding of the status quo don't usually happen overnight. They take years of careful published research that people could read and evaluate, and eventually the data just tips one way. There's never going to be a silver bullet study that completely changes the current understanding. It's true. Yes! I just bought a bunch of boxed mac and cheese because it's just, sometimes you just need to eat an entire box of processed powdered mac and cheese product stuff. I usually feel like I can't eat the entire thing, but I'll eat most of it. Yeah, Germany out here throwing away, you know, at least a century-old tradition of making trans people carry papers. Ugh. Little neck pop for you. You just gotta be nice to yourself a bit. Honestly, massages do make a difference. So even if you're just gonna like rub your own shoulders, or sometimes my jaw really hurts, like, so I'll massage my face because there's like a muscle that starts over here and comes all the way down here that it's good. And then also there's muscles on the side of your head that connect your jaw. So you can release a lot of TMJ tension by massaging your own skull. Ooh, yeah, there is a lot of salt in those packages of mac and cheese, but thankfully, I happen to need a lot of salt, so I can get away with eating it. And then I often add salted butter, so yeah, it just makes it worse. Skull Massage sounds like a Swedish metal band. True. Skull Massage, Skull Massage. But it's about doing something nice for yourself. Oh, that's a bummer. This week I have to work as much as possible to make up for being sick last week. Oof. Well, don't push it too hard. If it was COVID, then pushing yourself too hard could make you very sick. The cast review, in my opinion, feels like the kind of magical thinking that tends to go with cults. The quote, day of reckoning. A common staple of cults is that there is some day coming where the true believers will be proven right and finally get the respect they deserve, while all the naysayers will face consequences. It's always soon, but never actually happens. That's interesting. So, basically, like, are you saying that the TERFs are waiting to get some kind of scientific vindication that their beliefs are correct? Because I feel like most of them feel that the science is settled. I don't think most TERFs are actually out here burning for data that's gonna corroborate their beliefs, because they already are capable of using existing science or twisting existing science to support that belief. Skull massage, bone kneading. True. Let me get a cat. I'll just see if I'll like try to will my cat massage the sides of my head? Wouldn't that be lovely? But yeah, I just I feel like what else is there to say about the cast review? It's yet another bad faith attempt at misrepresenting the data on trans people and particularly trans youth to justify like a fascist crackdown on our healthcare. Excuse me, I do think essentially the TERFs are waiting on someone to prove that all the transes were wrong and dumb and the medical establishment were all lying. Okay, I mean, that's fair. I don't personally see that behavior very much. Excuse me, like when we're talking about TERFs, it doesn't really seem to me as though they're like waiting for the scientific breakthrough that's going to prove them right. I think most of them I just see being like super dismissive of the idea that the science says anything other than what they believe it does. Mm. Sounds like Skeletor became a masseuse. Skull massage. That would be pretty funny. If you look at the secret TERF Facebook groups, they absolutely are like waiting for the day that the data actually validates their opinion. They are both dismissive of the science and currently waiting to be proven correct. That's why they cling to the cast reports so hard. Yeah, I think the main good reason for us to cover Germany passing a self-ID thing is that so many countries, like, they keep referring to, oh, well, Sweden is closing all their gender clinics. They're not providing care to these children anymore. What do they know that we don't? There's this implication that, we should follow what certain European countries are doing. I think a lot of the time they're not actually even cracking down the way that these Republicans present it, or the way that these conservatives present it, but also, like, even if certain countries are having an anti-trans backlash and changing our legal access to medical care, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're correct. But so having Germany going like, yeah, we actually are taking away barriers for this, then you can say, oh, well, Germany is like a civilized country. Germany is like arguably one of the least fascist nations over there simply because they actually care to police fascists. They have no idea why that Danish gender clinic closed, and they're like, yeah, we gotta do that. Exactly. Why does my leg hurt so much? Oh, yeah. I've been getting really intense skin imprints this week. It's super weird. Like, you know, if you're like sitting on something and your skin gets all indented. It's just been very indented lately. Maybe I just drink more water. That's the solution to most of my problems. Yeah, Germany is a little bit unique in that it actually did change things. Luxander is made of clay, confirmed, true. The conservative argument in the UK is, oh yeah, we can't risk social peace over minority human rights. Yeah. It has been very weird watching the whole fascism thing going on in the US over the last couple years as a German. Like, I know that Germany is not perfect. Y'all do have what would be considered alt-right or perhaps neo-Nazi groups. But at least they're not allowed to be openly fascist. There are limitations on what they're allowed to do in public. And we just don't care, apparently. Like, it's so weird. I mean, it's not weird. Like, the US government, like, supports authoritarian and fascist methods while claiming to disavow those things. So it's really not that much of a surprise. It's just annoying that we don't crack down on this stuff. My voice is starting to get a little bit tired. I did watch a video from Dead Domain. I don't usually watch videos about politics, but I watched Dead Domain's, or I listened to most of Dead Domain's video about the Satanic Temple, like the church, the Satanic Temple, and it was really revealing. I didn't listen to the whole video because they gave disclaimers like, oh, we're about to start talking about sexual assault, and I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with this. So I clicked off, but the entire hour of content before that was really, really good. The US has always bordered on fascism. We happened to get in a war with Germany. Yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, the country, the US government, was not willing to step in and stop the genocide, which is like, I also think an important thing to recognize when we're talking about Israel Palestine is that the United States did not step in to prevent genocide. What they did was retaliated because we were attacked directly by Japan. Like, we didn't even care about going to war with Germany, but they were allied with Japan, who roped us into it basically by attacking Pearl Harbor. Like, the US government doesn't take a stance against genocide. It doesn't. Yeah, looking at the difference between the cops' response to these protesters protesting about Palestine versus, oh, I didn't even know that there was a neo-Nazi march in West Virginia a couple days ago. I guess, yeah, it would be fair to say they do take a stance on genocide, but it happens to often be in support of it. Like, literally, I think I'm losing my mind a little bit, because did we not just quite recently, like on the same day, there was evidence of mass graves in Gaza like we discovered evidence of, and it became public on the same day that our Congress approved yet another aid package to Israel? Like, it's one of those things where you're like, I think I'm losing my mind. Like, what is happening? My favorite bit of World War II history is when Japanese leadership read Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Their reaction was, these people sound like powerful allies. True. U.S. treatment of Native Americans actually inspired Hitler. I've heard that before. Hmm. I feel like everyone in the government should be going, hey, what the hell are we doing? This is not okay. And that applies to just about any situation you could think of. Just about any situation you could think of. I, I was still on Twitter, probably a lot more than I needed to be. And it was basically like months of footage from Gaza that has finally got me like off Twitter. I still go there sometimes, but for the overwhelming majority, I'm like, I don't want to be here. This is awful. And like, yeah, it's super privileged that I can just be like, I can't look at this anymore. But I'm also like gonna lose it if I don't take that space. So I'll go over there a little bit. I see, ooh, is there anything that is, we should talk about on the show? I'm on there way less than I normally would be, though. I've actually been piecemeal watching a PBS documentary on pre-World War II fascist stuff in the US. It's pretty messed up. I think that's fascinating. I haven't looked into that myself. But I do know we did stuff like forcibly sterilized Native American women without telling them. We've done that to other groups as well. Like, when Native American women, when they have a reproductive problem, their doctors offer them hysterectomy, where doctors will actively prevent white women from getting hysterectomy. Like, basically, any brown woman, I think that there are Mexican immigrants who have said similar things, like, the doctors offer them hysterectomy as like a first course of action, almost, if they're having like painful periods or anything like that. Yeah, they've done that to disabled people as well, like particularly mentally disabled people. I've heard of that as well. Like, you're like, if you have, for example, Down syndrome, that your parents are allowed to consent to have you sterilized. I don't actually know how many times that's really happened. You should look up Prescott Bush's ties to the Nazi economy. Okay, that doc if you want to. Okay, I'll open a tab for this. Nice 53-minute PBS video. Comments turned off. Meanwhile, all my trans friends are just like, yo, can we get a histo yet? Nah, okay, cool. I guess I'll go fuck myself, right? Um, it's so difficult. Yeah, the US, yeah, that's like still happening as far as I know. Unwarranted hysterectomies for immigrants in detention camps or Native Americans at hospitals that specifically serve them. Back in the 90s, Medicaid actually had a huge problem being caught heavily encouraging poor women to get their tubes tied. Eventually, that was made illegal. They tried to do that to me after my first kid at age 19. Wow. My mom with cerebral palsy had her tubes cut and tied after I was born. They didn't want her to have more kids. It's so messed up. Yeah, so almost forcibly had your tubes tied at age 19, and then 20 years later had to beg for a hysterectomy to help with the endometriosis. The shifting of values, for sure. Like, even if you're, like, if you were a poor white person in the 90s, that was considered a group of people that we wanted to minimize the existence of. What a concept. Only offering sterilization to people who ask for it, but also not trying to gatekeep people who ask for it. What? Huh. Yeah, at this point, they want to maximize the number of poor white people to assuage the need for serfs. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna keep letting COVID rip through communities and like disable and kill people, then yeah, you need the workers to make babies. You need them to keep pumping out more workers that you can grind into meat. Nowadays, Medicaid makes you wait 30 days and sign a waiver to get a hysterectomy, and they will still consider it an elective procedure even if it's deemed medically necessary. Ooh, yay. Like sometimes a hysterectomy is an elective procedure, and other times it's not. This is one of those things. Like when people are like, "Oh, well, why would you want to demedicalize transness? Why would we pay for it on our health care? Like why should taxpayers pay for your whatever if it's not medically necessary?" Like I don't really like this model that we use to like, you know, if I were to get top surgery, like to remove my breasts, it would be like in this model, I think it would probably be deemed more of an elective surgery because I don't have dysphoria that makes me suicidal. Like obviously if I found out that I had breast cancer or something, then it would be medically necessary, but I don't as far as I know. So like, but does that mean if there's somebody who just wants top surgery because they want it versus someone who is suicidal and can't leave the house, like, does one of them just straight up not deserve to have the procedure covered? Or, like, why is it that trans people have to want to kill themselves before we'll give them treatment? It's kind of torture, but yeah. Right, there is a specific interest in creating more white babies because racist billionaires are all up in arms about the great replacement theory. Oh, I mean, yeah, treatment isn't even guaranteed when we're suicidal. it's like you're more likely to get the stuff covered if you're suicidal, but they don't actually care. Everyone everywhere needs to be talking about the threat of Project 2025. I'm personally a little annoyed. Oh, thank you. Arcadian Goose, thank you so much for the 5 gifted tier 1 subs. I was noticing a lot of white names in the chat today. That dollar deserves some friends. Appreciate you. That's really kind. Numbers go up. Brr. I'm gonna be more... I'll advertise, like, hey, you should donate so that I will flex. I'm gonna advertise it more when I get back to bulking. Right now, I'm like, oh yeah, do you want to see my arms, which still have definition but aren't getting any bigger right now? But yes, thank you. But yeah, like, I think that I just have a hard time talking about Project 25 because the way that most people are framing it is as something that is going to happen in the future. Like, I think even, you know, calling it Project 2025, which I know that's what it's called, you know, but when we call it Project 2025, it makes it feel like it's a future problem, but in reality, it's like, it's a now problem. And so I'm just having a hard time wanting to talk about it because of the way that I see other people covering it. I actually knew someone who very nearly died from being denied a hysterectomy. They had cancer and the doctors were just like, no. What the fuck? Also, it's not like you'll get treatment even if your doctors are supportive and they fight insurance to make prior auth happen because, whoops, testosterone shortage. I did not know that there was a testosterone shortage. Is it like, can you get it from a different pharmacy kind of thing? Because like certain pharmacies source their medicine from certain warehouses. Is Agenda 47 where they just try to like usurp the election? This is the last pharmacy left in the city. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so shit. I've never heard of Tom Hartman. Agenda 47 is Project 2025, but Trump made it himself. I was just confused because you said if Trump wins, then Project 2025 will happen, but if not, then it will be Agenda 47, which does basically the same thing. Or did you mean the opposite way around? Did you mean to turn off comments, or was that just YouTube? What do you mean? Turn off comments on what? On a specific video? On this video? Like, I don't think you can comment on a live stream. You can only chat. Normies don't know what Project 2025 is, and they never care to learn when I talk about it. People are asleep, and it's driving me insane. I'm not sure which video. You gotta tell me which videos, dude. Like, I don't know. I haven't turned them off. Okay, so is Project 2025 specifically, like, this is what we're gonna do if the Democrats keep in power? Like, I thought that Project 2025 was partially contingent on, like, voting up Republicans at the federal level, including Trump. Do I need to make like a little 5-minute explainer going, hey, this is what Project 2025 is, and here's why you should care? I just, I'm emotionally dissociated. It's just the Republican plans for the future one way or another. Yeah. Because, yeah, like I said, people have been going, oh, yeah, you need to worry about Project 2025, vote, 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 vote. And I'm like, all these things that you're warning us about happening in the future are happening now. So it's like, I feel like the people who are talking about Project 2025 just don't have, they have a sense of urgency, but it's about the wrong things. Like, if that makes sense. What would a 5-minute explainer about Project 2025 even look like? Just glance over their website, like, look, these are their intentions. The difference between what's happening now and Project 2025 is that with it, it would be federal law. I mean, the problem with this also is that there's only so much they can do. Like, okay, there's an ongoing conversation right now amongst the Republicans discussing, like, a federal abortion ban. You know? Like, one of the things that, for example, Nikki Haley kept saying was, there's no point in us talking about a federal ban. We don't have the votes. Because in spite of everything, of all the gerrymandering and all, like, we're still fairly even in Congress. So I don't know that we have the votes to make, like, being gay or trans illegal or whatever, or like passing a total abortion ban. And I also don't think that Trump will have as much executive leeway as people think that he will have. So I'm honestly more worried about local elections than I am about Trump. Because people keep saying, oh yeah, but then it'll be federal law. But it's like, yeah, but it won't. And also, like, Trump already stacked the court, so it's like, it's not like we need to worry about more Supreme Court justices because they already have enough votes to screw us over. Like, that's the thing. A lot of the things that these people are scaremongering about happening, about, ooh, Project 2025, you gotta get out there and vote. I'm like, okay, you're talking about a future problem, but either this stuff has already happened or it is happening. So it just feels kind of silly. Project 2025 would bypass votes. It was made specifically to do that. I mean, are we just talking about them continuing to use executive powers the way that they have been doing? Like, if they executively declare that trans youth getting healthcare is child abuse, then all existing child abuse laws now impact trans youth? Like, is that what we're talking about? I'm not familiar with Schedule F. Oh my gosh, more water. Ugh, I'm so dry. Okay, just basically, like, abusing executive powers more. Oh, and to be true, like, to be fair, I'm not saying we should let things get worse. Like, and I'm also not saying I'm gonna lay down and rot. Like, my entire thing is, I just don't care about what's happening federally. Like, it's bad, and it's going to get worse. Okay, What am I gonna do about that? Fucking nothing. So what do I have control over? I have control over me, who I surround myself with, and where I am. So I'm just gonna go somewhere where it's gonna be relatively safer. Like, I just don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to fight the federal fight, I don't think. Like, we don't have enough allies. There are not enough people listening. Like, it's... So my channel only does well when I talk about trans issues specifically, right? Like, because that's what I've built up this channel as. So I make videos about how trans rights are being eroded across this country, and those videos do the best on my channel, and they still top out at like 2,000 views. Like, it's hard not to feel like this shit doesn't matter to anybody. Like, I'm just telling the same 2,000 people the same story over and over again is kind of what it feels like. You know, so it's just like hard to break out to a broader audience. Like, normies don't really care. Everybody is too overwhelmed to do anything. I do find it very interesting how straight people can spend a lot of time around LGBTQ family members and consistently hate us at the same time. Exposure doesn't seem to work for my family. It does work for a lot of families. Your content has been very helpful for me to send to people in my life and explain what I'm so worried about and why. I mean, that's good. I'm glad. I'm just redirecting my attention to other things. You know, I'm not trying to advocate that we should not vote, for sure. I'm not trying to advocate against helping people. I just don't have the energy. I'm tired. I have too much shit going on. I'm trying to wrangle myself all the time, and like I have a bunch of responsibilities that I'm struggling to maintain. Like, I'm focused on my own survival and the survival of people I care about. Like, I need to have fewer problems. So scaling back a little bit, thinking less about like Trump and what's going to happen there, because I'm going to keep gnashing my teeth over what's going on in at the federal level, and like none of us have any control over that. Even at the state level, like there's not much you can do if your government is determined to strip you of your rights. So you kind of just have to go like, all right, well, fuck it. I'm going to focus on other things. You're in the process of stripping away my rights. Like, I'm grateful that the state of Kansas has protected the right to an abortion, for example. But there is no doubt, like, as a female, I have fewer rights. As a trans person, I have fewer rights. Like, federally, don't have the right to an abortion. Like, in my state, I no longer have safe access to public restrooms. Like, like you're in the process of grappling with this stuff in live real time all the time. Like, I'm gonna worry about the dishes getting done. You know what I mean? I'm gonna worry about cooking dinner tonight. I've watched things keep getting worse no matter which side is winning at the federal level. IDK, we just have to work locally. Like, we have a Christian cult called Citizens Restoring Liberty. Me and my wife are going to go undercover to see the candidates they support so that we can campaign against them. Yeah, trying to prevent Republicans from overtaking Oregon. There is also the normies who say like, oh, I don't hate gay people. You know, I support gay people. And then they ignore all of the attacks on our rights. I live in Mastriano country. I do see your point, but I'm also 37 and we won't get any more electoral chances after 2024. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying that we shouldn't vote. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I just, like, personally can't keep thinking about it. I guess I should mention it more often, though. I guess it's worth it if we're discussing more general trans news, like not Project 25. Let's say we're talking about, oh, you know, Governor Greg Abbott in Texas says he thinks that there shouldn't be trans teachers. Like he thinks that you shouldn't be allowed to cross-dress or be gender nonconforming if you're a teacher. I guess it probably is worth it to start mentioning it, to pepper it in, like since that content is still getting the clicks. Like, oh, by the way, this is one facet of Project 2025 where they plan to basically take over the government. Here's the website. Go read about it yourself. Check out other people's more in-depth coverage about it. Like, I guess I could mention it to kind of tie things together, since each individual issue can sometimes feel like its own individual issue. Like, okay, we're talking about one case in Idaho. Okay, now we're talking about something in Texas. Now we're talking about something in Kansas. So yeah, maybe just tying it together a little bit more could be worth doing. I'm willing to tweak my approach. I just find it all very exhausting, which I'm sure most of you can understand. I keep having, like, weird dreams, so I'm not sleeping well. I don't feel well during the day a lot of the time. So, you know, we're just trying to get through. I'm trying to, like, talk to people more often as well, because here's a major failure that I have. While I'm sitting here dealing with all these, like, you know, attacks on rights and stuff, and, like, trying to, like, navigate and deal with things, I am not good at reaching out for emotional support. And I'm talking about, like, from a personal friend. So I'm trying to do a little bit better about that. I'm not doing the best. And sometimes it still feels bad. I'm like trying to loop my friend in on something that I'm thinking about. And sometimes that feels burdensome. And like, ooh, I'm like, ooh, here I am dealing with this issue again. Like, I don't want to keep talking to my friends about the same issues over and over again. You know, there's just resistance in there that is kind of probably a little bit unwarranted. You have to be willing to accept that people want to help you. I think it's definitely part of it. So I'm at least trying. I think the content is great, but the lack of mention of Project 2025 is my only constructive criticism. I totally empathize with the dysregulation and civic survival fatigue. As a kindredly wired person, sorry if that was an overstep. Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, I understand the anxiety, the imperative sensation of anxiety, regarding these upcoming changes. I, like, should I be like, hey, Vosh, will you invite me on your show so that I can talk to a broader audience about this as a trans person? Like, let's talk about Project 2025. I don't know. Like, I just have such a small sphere of influence, you know? You got a solid 50 viewers, you're doing fine. Oh, no, I mean, I'm not complaining. But that is not the same as having 450,000 subscribers. Like, I have 33,000 subscribers. It went up a lot this year, and now it's slowing way down again because I'm not posting, like, shorts every day at the moment. Prop not Vosh. I mean, I'm just saying, somebody who talks about Project 2025 and has a broader audience than me. Because I'm just saying, the benefit of me talking about Project 2025 is that more people know about it, right? But I have such a small channel that I don't think that I think that it worsens my life and my mental health more than it helps the movement, if that makes sense. I mean, you should definitely do that if you can. Yeah. I haven't talked to him in a while, and it feels bad to be explicitly like, yo, I am trying to grow my channel. I would like to get to 50,000. Because that, I mean, honestly, that's kind of the goal for me. If I have a goal for my channel, is to get to 50,000 subscribers. 17,000 to go. That's pretty big for a trans specific channel. We don't usually get very big. So if for me to be explicitly like, yo, I am trying to grow the channel and get the message out to more people, can we have a discussion about this? Or I don't know, like, it's just, no matter who it is, whether it's Vosh or someone else, it's always really self-serving. So it's tough to reach out. If there was someone who was closer to my size, like Dead Domain, who I know that their channel is bigger than mine, but some of y'all have been encouraging, like, yo, it would be really cool if you did a conversation with Dead Domain. I don't really know what we would talk about. One of the moderators in the Discord suggested that we could talk about the new Satanic Temple video. H3? I actually did email H3 one time. Like, do you want to interview me about trans bottom surgery? Was, I think, the proposal that I made. Never got an email back. So sad. Leftist Mafia. I am not familiar with Leftist Mafia. Oh, you're just talking about the Humanist Report. Oh, but their podcast. The Leftist Mafia podcast. I see Lance was on one recently. Yeah. Maybe I could reach out. And Tom Hartman. Okay, let me look up Tom Hartman. Who the F is that? Tom Hartman program. This is a call-in show. Leftist Mafia is good stuff. They've got the Humanist Report, Lance from the Surfs, Rebecca Azor, and Mike Binder as their standard lineup. They need more non-dudes. Yeah, maybe I should just go on Twitter and message Lance and be like, yo, I am really trying to grow my channel. Can you please have me on? That would be a good, if it's a panel show, that feels a little bit less awkward. Matt Binder? Okay. Pronunciation. Oh, goodness. Well, you know, so I at least have like 2 stories that I want to fully go into today. Today we're going to fully go into the 4 states reject Title IX updates, and Germany increases access to gender paperwork. Leftist Mafia. Why don't y'all comment on Leftist Mafia videos? Y'all go comment over there and say, OMG, you need to have Luxander on. That's your job. Leftist Mafia is how I found Riverboat Jack. I love Riverboat Jack. I think she's great. I haven't talked to her in a while. I met her through the Progressive Victory organization, which I have officially distanced myself from because they hired Riley Grace Rochong, and now she's back and trying to stream again. Riley Grace Rochong, she's back trying to stream on Twitch. Isn't that great? She just got hired by Progressive Victory to be their, like, stream coordinator for when they do events. Yeah, she's the streaming media coordinator. Yeah, if y'all want me to be on someone else's show, you have to go tell them. It's not like we can't reach across the aisle, but RGR is constantly starting drama and shit. I mean, like, there are, I think, totally justifiable bad feelings toward Riley. That, like, she is just so lawyer brained and that she was so willing to burn bridges. And she basically made the argument that conservatives will make that if you're doing something in public that could be construed as a fetish, we're going to call you a pedo for doing it in front of children. Like, I genuinely saw people after that whole thing who were basically saying, like, yeah, well, if you're just cross-dressing for a fetish, then you shouldn't be allowed to, you should be considered bad for doing it in public, which is exactly what conservatives say about trans people on the whole. Yeah, is she gonna go around Progressive Victory telling people they're like pedo jacketing people? I think, yeah, there's a reason why we don't like her. There's a reason why we don't want her in positions of authority. Progressive Victory is stupid. But also, Progressive Victory works with Destiny, so any surprise? Yes, that's the one. RGR is the woman who debated Doe and said that Doe was, quote, either intentionally or unintentionally making pedophilia arguments. So, yeah, they just associate with the worst people. I'm glad that they're getting more people voting, but I don't really want to be involved in anything that they're doing anymore. So, good luck and Godspeed to them. I'm glad that I was able to participate and like help in certain situations where we got people to phone bank and everything. Like, it was a good cause, and I have no desire to affiliate with them any further. I called into Riley's show before the foot fetish thing to confront her about the way she was publicly buddies with Calvin Guerra and giving him credence when he had caused the mass harassment and stalking of multiple NBs, including a disabled person who was stalked from inside the psych ward they checked into for suicidal ideation. Yeah, I ran defense for her because I was like, I understand that she's trying to change Calvin, but she failed at changing Calvin. He's still just as spiteful and mean and hateful. He just does it in private on Patreon instead of publicly. Like, she didn't succeed in changing him, and they're still friends, as far as I know. But I was trying to be like, listen, I understand you can't publicly denounce someone if you're trying to change their views. Like, I get it. It makes sense to me. But, yeah, I don't really trust her motives anymore. Brianna Wu is no longer associated with PV. That's cool. Let's not talk about Brianna Wu. That is a whole mess that I don't even want to get into right now. I think it's time for me to rest my voice and go to the restroom real quick. So I'll be gone for about 5 minutes. Should we put on Hassan? Or do you want to just hang out with the bugs in the terrarium jungle? Bugs? You can't really see the bugs very well because the plants are all growing in. But okay, when I get back, we'll talk about the serious news. Okay, when I get back, we'll talk about serious subjects. If you need to, you can go to the bathroom and get a drink and chill out. But yeah, enjoy the bugs for a minute. I'll be back momentarily. Boo. Jump scare. Hello. We managed to get to 69 likes while I was gone. That's pretty exciting. Also, thank you, Hyperbolic, for the tier 1 sub. They say, please keep streaming. You are very enjoyable. You could do drama to get a boost, but I hope you'll get there without having to do that too much. Stay enjoyable. Yes. I think it's very silly that the channel does so well when we do drama. But it's like, yeah, I don't do drama primarily. Every few months, some drama happens that I feel like I should cover, and the channel gets a huge number of views from it. I don't know if that necessarily translates into more subscribers, but whatever. I have a pickle. Crunch. Just wanted to give myself a little quick snack. I have the pickle, and then I have one of these Baby Bell cheeses, and that'll keep me going for a little bit. YouTube chat says, sorry if you've answered this before, but are you autistic? I am pretty sure that I am. I've never been diagnosed, and I have no interest in seeking a formal diagnosis. But, I mean, it kind of seems like all the problems that autistic people have, I also have. So I basically just do identify as autistic at this point. Crunchy. You know that feeling when you bite into a pickle and it's like way soggier than you think it's gonna be? I had that for the first time recently. It was gross. I finished making my second batch of dandelion honey. Is that like honey that the bees were eating dandelions to make? Or is that like, yeah, gerbness, exactly. And, or is that dandelion honey in the sense that you took normal honey and then infused it with dandelion? I have not seen Quiet on Set. I know at least one person who watched it, but I have not checked it out myself, and I probably won't. Okay, I'm gonna add this to the streamed total. 31. Bing bang, boom. I love when number go up. It's the best. So I'm gonna eat this cheese, and then we can talk about the actual news that we came here for today. Isn't that gonna be so exciting? I've known about you for a year, but became interested after the DJ Mule thing. That was a while ago now, huh? Oh, dandelion honey is a separate product. You take dandelion flowers, you cook them in sugar water until it gets thickened like honey. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I forgot about DJ Mule. I continue to forget about DJ Mule. And then I remembered that he's like the Wish version of Simon Whistler, which is probably one of the best zingers I've ever come up with on the spot. It was really good. It was a really good zinger. I guess Wish isn't as popular now. I guess nowadays you would say Temu. Temu? What is that called? I hope we can all forget about him, right? It's funny when people accuse me of clout chasing when I cover drama, because I'm like, I cover drama so that I don't have to ever think about it again. Like I make my final statements, and then my goal is to never think about you again. If you keep doing stupid stuff, drawing my attention back to you, that's a different thing. These cheeses are delicious. They're so tangy, so sharp. Yeah, yet another AI voice stock footage advertisements for slave labor clothes companies. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, while I finish my cheese, what is everyone's favorite dessert? Favorite dessert? Normally I would say cinnamon rolls. Because it's like, even though you can eat a cinnamon roll for breakfast, it is basically a dessert, you know? I love a tiramisu. Tiramisu is ridiculous. Churros, delicious. Cheesecake, absolutely. Peach pie, not for me, but I respect it. Crepe with applesauce, okay. Brownies, mm-hmm. Vanilla cheesecake. Peanut butter pie, ooh. What is a peanut butter pie? Wait, what? Do you put chocolate in it, or is it just peanut butter? Yeah, tiny cheese, carrot cake, soft serve ice cream, cookie dough, waffles, mm-hmm. Double-decker oatmeal cream pie. Those are pretty yummy. Banana pudding or strawberry shortcake, mm-hmm. Peanut butter pie? I have to look that up. I still have cheese in my mouth. I have to look it up. Peanut butter pie? Oh my god, that looks so good. You guys, it looks so good. Look at that. Hold on, let me find a good picture. Make it bigger. Look at that, it looks so yummy. Oh. Mmm. Yeah. Oh man, that looks so good. That's crazy. Yeah, I've never heard of peanut butter pie. I know about like chocolate silk pies, but and like I've had a key lime pie before, sour cream cake. Ooh, I think I've had something like that before. Marshmallow cream, vanilla pudding, marshmallow cream. Oh no, wait, wait, what? Do you have to make peanut butter pie with fucking marshmallow? That's awful. I'm so upset now. I hate marshmallow. No. Oh, I'm gonna cry. No. No. Fucking marshmallow. God dang it. Oh, this recipe uses cream cheese, peanut butter, and frozen whipped topping. That sounds yummy. Oh my god, that's so good. You can't really taste the marshmallow cream. Mm-hmm. These are my skeptical eyes. Yeah, you can't beat a straight up vanilla ice cream. That's yummy. Yeah, I discriminate against marshmallow. Listen, like in the context of the s'more, with the burnt outsides, that marshmallow is good and acceptable in that situation. In any other situation, I really don't want to deal with it. I know, it's terrible. It's terrible. Anything salted caramel, I cannot ignore the truth of your statement. I bought a pie crust for Thanksgiving. I don't know if it's good anymore. It's been in the freezer the whole time. Is the pie crust that I have in the freezer still usable? Could I just make, like, the insides of a peanut butter pie and shove them in there, and then it would be... I assume that you don't even need to bake it. I assume you just need to let it set. Debate me on marshmallow. I will not debate you. My opinion is... I'm God here. My opinion is unchangeable. It's fine if it's been frozen the whole time. Okay, cool. Peanut butter pie is no bake. Listen. That's kind of exciting, because I actually do... I have, like... I don't know if I have enough to make one full pie, but I have cream cheese, and I have peanut butter. I might have everything that I need. Do you guys dislike all marshmallow or only fluff? I like it in certain situations. Like s'mores. And that's basically it. Anyway, sorry, I didn't realize that I was going to drop something so controversial here. Let's talk about some news, shall we? Shall we get into the news? Truly a menacing take. I know, I'm canceled now. I don't like how sticky they are. They're sticky. It doesn't... I mean, it tastes good if it's burnt and gooey. Like, and in the context of chocolate and graham cracker. I like s'mores. The marshmallow is literally just fluffy sugar. So is fucking circus peanuts, okay? You're gonna defend circus peanuts to me now, too? Imagine it being in the pie would help the texture. Yeah, maybe the peanut butter would override the taste. I really hate sour cream, but it's good in some things. Yeah, if you could hide it completely. I know, circus peanuts are very different from marshmallows. I just thought that it would be funny to compare the two, because if you really like marshmallows and then I compared them to circus peanuts, I bet that would be really upsetting. So that's why I said it. Hey now, circus peanuts are an excellent way to store sugar in a way that no one else will eat. That's true. I guess my other problematic opinion about candy today is that I do like candy corn. I'm not gonna eat like 50 of them, but I could definitely eat like 20 of them. I know, it's terrible. But like, who wants to eat Peeps? Do you like Peeps? Do you want to eat them? I will eat one, and then usually the experience of that is remembering why I don't eat them. I bet it would be good if you took the Peep and you like did like covered it in chocolate. Again, I can do marshmallow if there's chocolate involved. I know, I'm cancel me. I'm a candy corn liker. I'll eat candy corn until it hurts my teeth. Peeps should have been a plushie line. I think they probably do have a plushie line. Every year I eat one piece of candy corn to remind myself why I don't like them. Listen, your taste can change over time. I used to be able to eat basically any cinnamon roll I came across, but now I'm much more selective because sometimes like cinnamon rolls are too sweet, and it's bad. You gotta get you the cream cheese icing. That's the way to go. I like chocolate moon pies. They're okay. It's not like something that I would choose. If there were no other snacks, I would eat a chocolate moon pie. If there were almost any other options, and I would never eat a banana flavored moon pie. Like, to be totally clear, that's never happening. Marshmallows and coffee? Not for me. The fuck is a moon pie? It's like a cookie. It's two really soft cookies that create a sandwich, and the inside is marshmallow. And then they kind of take the entire thing and dip it in a thin layer of chocolate. Here, let me... This is a moon pie. It's like this. And sometimes they have other flavors, but this is the one. It's passable. You know, it's tolerable. Not something I'm gonna reach for usually, but tolerable. I think I've established that I like marshmallow just fine when it is with chocolate. A moon pie is proof that some things are worse than the sum of their parts. Ooh, that's a win, kitty tick. Found a cheap blender that works really well. Okay, let's do a news. Why don't we start with Germany? I already made a lot of these points earlier, but that's fine. We're gonna do it all over again. News time! Okay. I'm finally boiling noodles. I'm proud of you. You finally got around to making food. I might just make like an entire box of mac and cheese for me to eat after this. I don't know. It depends on whether my other person is hungry. Straight from food to Germany and not even mentioning schnitzel. I would have to kind of really actually know what schnitzel is in order to make any statements about it or have an opinion of any kind. So, sorry, I don't have that. Oh, whoa, Germany mentioned. Yeah, we're covering a story out of Germany. A hamburger schnitzel hamburger. Schnitzel is like a meat patty that's breaded and fried. Okay. It's pork that's been mugged with a meat mallet. Hamburger schnitzel is schnitzel with a fried egg on top. Okay. So it's like a meat. You take minced meat, like ground meat of some kind, make it into a patty, bread, fry. Do you deep fry or just pan fry? Schnitzel is like, what if we made bad school cafeteria food, but like 300 years ago? Oh, that's funny. Because they really do be taking meat emulsifications and breading them and frying them and then feeding it to you when you're in public school. Oh, what's up, Wendelby? Hey! Welcome in. We are literally about to start the news. Hit the like button if you're so psyched to be talking about the news. If you're just so excited, put your hands in the air like you just don't care. Hyper's in chat? We can at least try to make it fun. I think you pan fry schnitzel. Okay. The Derg. The Derg wants hypers. We don't have a very emoji-heavy chat here, I've noticed. Other chats are like very, very much emojis. I have a blarg emoji happening over in the YouTube chat. That's a good one. That reminds me of Ree a little bit. Yes. Dicks, 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 dicks. True. Can't find the schnitzel emoji. No schnitzel emoji. It's just like a little brown lump. It just looks like a poop. True. Y'all are much more enthusiastic about the dicks than any other emoji. The potato. I was doing the dance of my people. Yeah, you dab, and then you just keep alternating dabs. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's the world's easiest dance. But you have to do it on tempo, so it's really hard for white people to emulate. Ow! Oh no. That hurt my elbows. Okay. I'm good now. It's always good to get a little bit of good news in. And we don't talk about good news out of Europe, especially. I feel like if we're talking about something in Europe, it is typically some horrible thing happening in the UK. Just usually. Like for a channel that focuses on trans-related issues, we got a lot of bad stories out of the UK. However, we have a nice story out of Germany right now. Different countries and even sometimes different states, like in the United States, each different state has different requirements for what you have to do in order to get your documentation updated. Like, are you even allowed to change the sex on your birth certificate or on your driver's license? And if you are allowed, what is required for you to be able to do that? Do you, in some places, have to provide proof of some kind, or at least a doctor has to testify, basically, that you had some kind of surgery? Some places require you to have a surgery specifically that sterilizes you. Some places, it's just like, have you undergone a nebulous but, quote, sufficient amount of gender-affirming care? And there are some places in the United States and increasingly elsewhere that this is a great way to start a segment. That are increasingly letting people just pick what their legal sex and gender shows up as on their paperwork, which is really cool. We want to see that because we want... frankly, it's kind of uncool that we demand that trans people normalize their bodies to an extent before we'll let them have identification that matches their appearance. You know, that some places require you to have, like I said, like a sterilizing surgery. So if you're a trans woman, you have to have your testicles removed. And if you're a trans man, then yeah, you would need to have like a hysterectomy or something else similar to that. Which of course is like pretty sus, trying to reduce births within the group, are we? But it's normalizing as well. You can't be legally female if you're still capable of getting someone pregnant. Oh, how would that work? We would have to put you down as the father on the birth certificate. That would be weird. You know, like, they come up with reasons why it's, so complicated and, we need barriers in place. It's always cisgender gatekeepers. It's always non-trans people in these positions of authority and influence who are saying, you need to prove to me, or you need to meet some weird arbitrary standard in order to change these legal documentations. And that's, like I said, assuming that they even let you change them. I live in Kansas, and they just declared in the courts that we don't have the right to accurate gender identity on our documentation. Like, it's okay and even necessary, apparently, for trans people to be forced out of the closet anytime we need to apply for a job or like try to get a new apartment. You know, if your information comes up and it doesn't match your appearance, the likelihood that you're going to get denied service increases, and we are now marking trans people, kind of like they did in Nazi Germany. So, speaking of Germany, you know, it used to be back in the day during the government that preceded the Nazi takeover of Germany, which is now called the Weimar Republic. I recently learned that that was actually sort of the disparaging terminology that the Nazis were using to describe the previous government. Interesting that that's now just what we call it. But they had this program basically where you could get basically medical clearance to cross-dress. Like, cross-dressing wasn't legally permitted at the time, and you would need a little medical card that would say, if the police accosted you, this card says, I have a mental health diagnosis, basically, that says I'm allowed to dress this way. And that has shifted and changed over time to, apparently in 1980, there was a law in Germany called the Transsexuals Law, which required trans people to provide a local court with two, quote, expert reports attesting to a, quote, high degree of probability that the applicant will not want to revert to their previous legal gender. I don't really see why that's necessary. You can just revert it back. Like, just make the process easy to do either way, and why would it matter? But apparently the German Constitutional Court has previously struck down other draconian aspects of the law, including requiring surgery to get gender recognition. So they've already kind of been striking down various things about this law over time. So apparently Germany is now completely abolishing any pathologizing requirements for gender recognition. So there's now going to be a new law that says, yo, you can just self-declare. It's called self-ID. When people are trying to scaremonger about this, it's called self-ID. You'll see TERFs in the UK basically saying, like, we can't have self-ID, it's dangerous. If you let people self-ID, then they will be able to enter women's spaces and blah, 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 blah. And when we're talking about changing your legal documentation, we're talking about changing, like, not even your passport, not your day-to-day ID, but your, like, government ID, the thing that shows up on your birth certificate, on your death certificate, on your marriage license. So having self-ID for those things doesn't change whether or not trans people have access to bathrooms, for example, because it was never the law in the UK that you needed to change your gender recognition certificate thing. You don't need to provide a copy of your birth certificate or any ID in order to gain access to a bathroom. You simply are not required to have it. So having self-ID doesn't change materially who's using which spaces. It tends to be for the kind of identity documentation that would out you, or that would be, like, if you're a trans woman in the UK and you don't have a gender recognition certificate, like if you haven't medically transitioned because the NHS is effectively not taking new patients who are trans, and, like, et cetera, all this stuff is, like, preventing you from being able to change your gender recognition certificate stuff, then if you get married, you're going to be listed as the husband or a husband on the thing. Like, yeah, most people will put off getting married because they don't want to be listed as literally, like, oh, you're the groom, you're the husband, legally speaking, on this paperwork, you know? Which, of course, that's a problem that could be solved by just putting spouse instead of husband or wife, but whatever. We have to unnecessarily gender things at every conceptual level of society. Don't worry about it. It's also pretty cool and worth mentioning about this law that's changing in Germany is that not only are there going to be no expert opinions or medical certificates required to change your identity documentation, but you will also be able to choose from several gender markers, male, female, or quote, diverse, and you can opt not to enter a gender at all. And like, that's pretty cool because a lot of places in my country of the United States of America, for example, some, you can, or you used to be able to change your legal sex on your documentation in Kansas, but you couldn't change it to an X. Like, it just, like, non-binary or X was not an option. Even for children born intersex, I don't think we have it's, like, not built into our computer systems and stuff. And imagine being able to opt out of listing your gender at all. Like, I don't think that makes it more difficult to collect information about individuals in society, which is one of the things that is claimed about why they took away the right to change your legal sex in Kansas is like, oh, for the purposes of collecting information about the public, apparently we need to know what your, like, genitals were when you were born. That's really important for us to know. Yeah, so it's cool for Germany to be doing this because in the context of everything else that's been going on, like speaking to the, bringing up the UK and TERFs and everything, in America and in Britain, they keep invoking, oh, this other European country, oh, this Danish clinic closed. Maybe we should think like them. Like, oh, this new report came out that said there might be more regret than we thought there was. Like, they're constantly looking for something to validate them scientifically, or they look to other countries and say, oh, well, wow, these left-leaning progressive countries are actually putting a stop to youth transition care. So, ooh, that must mean that there's something wrong with it. We should stop doing it as well. So in the midst of all that happening, it is really cool to be able to point to Germany and go, hey, look, Germany is once again kind of leading Europe in the way that it was sort of leading Europe. Like, Berlin in the Weimar Republic was bumping. It was like one of the destinations in Europe for if you were trans or if you were gay. Like, it was bumping, like, healthy LGBTQ community. There's a reason why Magnus Hirschfeld established the Sexual Institute there. It was because there was this existing culture, right? So this is not the first time even that Germany has been a leader in Europe for accepting trans people, for changing laws in a way that makes it more accepting, more possible for us to live our lives. Like, I don't know if you guys realize this, but in Germany, and I used to follow a couple of German trans guys. I don't know if I unfollowed them at some point, but one of them at least, identified as non-binary, but was basically having to hide that completely during the process of seeking healthcare on the National Healthcare Service. Because the way that the diagnostic criteria and stuff were written at the time, and I don't know if this has changed, I haven't checked, but basically they were not treating people who were non-binary. You basically had to just claim that you were binary in order to get your surgery or your hormones that you needed. So it's another positive change that if you are in Germany, like the fact that they have the diverse option, I don't know what the actual word is in German that they're using for that. Like, that's a catch-all for like non-binary or whatever. That might mean that they're also opening up a bit and, not forcing people to have a binary transition. Like, because I think that they also, lots of countries do that thing where it's like, if you're getting national health care, you have to be on hormones before you can get any surgery. And there are some trans people, especially non-binary people, who don't want to be on testosterone and they just want top surgery. So again, it would be great if we weren't trying to forcibly normalize trans people, if we could embrace the gender diversity and accept that, yeah, like sometimes people want to be non-normative, like that we shouldn't be trying to force people. Yeah, and of course it's excellent for intersex people too, that, you know, if there's a legal option for them as well, then there's no reason to forcibly normalize them as well. Diversity in this economy? So, just a little bit of news that I wanted to cover, a little bit of positive news, like mad hypes for everybody who lives in Germany, like hypers in chat. For Germany, at least making steps in the right direction. It's not perfect. There might still be those constraints on the healthcare service where maybe there are still problematic requirements and everything, so it's not perfect. There is still a contingent of sort of neo-Nazi-ish type people in Germany, even though they crack down on that stuff a lot more. So while we can acknowledge that you can always be doing more to protect trans people, right? Obviously, we live in a world that is very unsafe for us. There is like no shortage of actions you could take to make life better for trans people, to increase our safety, to increase our dignity. But there are improvements happening. The entire world is not against us. I think that that's like the main takeaway, is it can feel, especially like I live in a conservative state in the United States, like you don't feel particularly welcome. Even if you see other people like you in public, like it's not like a good sensation, you know? And to know that if I were to travel to another country, it would be the same way. If I were to try to move to, you know, so-and-so, whatever, if I tried to move to the UK, why would anybody do that? I don't know, but, you know, it's just nice to be able to say, at least in Germany, if you moved there and you got identification there, you could self-declare your gender, and you would have the option basically to choose the X, which would be cool. All right, maybe that can go in the stream notes now. We did it. We did a topic. It's gonna go in the stream notes. Yay! What is today? Today's like, what, the 27th? I want to say... No, it's the 28th. I was close, though. At least I haven't completely lost track of what's going on in my life. Germany, yay! Links. Okay, good. We're doing so good, Gorge. Why be cool when you can be cruel? Cruel. Is that true? During the debates over this law in Germany, yeah, because Atreyu, you're from Germany. Someone said in the debates, quote, "The state couldn't care less about your gender. For us, citizens are basically just numbers." Harsh, but kind of true. I mean, yeah, like, why would they care? Now you just have 4 different categories to track. And 2 of them are basically like, these are both trans. Like, you might as well just assume that those are both trans people. Like, for the purposes of statistics, they might as well be the same groups. You've got male, you've got female, you've got diverse and prefer not to say, like, diverse and what are you, a cop? Those are the 4 genders now. The 4 legally recognized genders in Germany. That was funny. And of course, yeah, the laws passing in a progressive way doesn't necessarily translate to physical safety in person. It is going to depend on where in Germany you live, I'm sure. Yay, Germany. Yay. Honestly, hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button. My poor voice. It deserves you to hit the like button. Yeah, what are you? A cop has got to be one of my favorite genders. In Pennsylvania, our IDs have an option for sex, and one of the options is X. That's it. It's better than nothing, I guess. I mean, yeah, that is typically in the US how we've been doing it. It's either an M, an F, or an X. Like in, I think, Oregon and Washington both. They both have like self-declare and the X option. Convenient. Okay, don't need the Germany thing open anymore. My throat is just sore all the time. Male, female, and other, yes. Miscellaneous. True, Elon Musk changing his opinion on trans people as soon as he finds out you can put your gender down as X. He'll start to identify as an attack helicopter. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him about being able to put X on your gender marker. I think that would genuinely... I don't know, I guess it depends on where his ID is from. Like... He already identifies as a Cybertruck, true. The US also allows X on passports. Oh yeah, I remember that, for now. I don't know if he has made an attack helicopter joke before. But if he has an ID in, like, California, couldn't he just change it to X? That would be funny. Like, it would be funny. It would be really cringe, but it would be funny. I can't deny. Can't deny it, can't pretend. Just thought you were the one. Yeah, true. The fight for trans rights is over now that we have a third option for our gender marker. Is that actually Avril Lavigne? You know what's really funny, Mama Mephistopheles? That song that I just quoted. When I hear that clip of that song, I hear it within the context of the song Four Chords by the band The Axis of Awesome. It's from ages and ages ago, but it's like, the point is all these songs sound the same, or like they have the same chord progression. So it's just like a bunch of lyrics like strung together. Yeah, so I'm like, can't deny it, can't pretend. Just thought you were the one in my head. I see you all over me in my head. And then it goes into another song. Despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage. What if God was one of us? Of course I've seen Paco Bell rant. Of course I have. How long before being a cyborg counts as a gender? I don't think we're gonna get that. Yep, we have fun. I've been listening to music a lot more than usual lately. I know that's a huge shocker probably because I bitch all the time about how much I don't like music, but honestly, I've just been listening to really, really old Owl City, and it's really nice because it just is occupying my brain with music that has absolutely zero emotional invocation. So it's good. Once upon a time, my great-grandma gave me an hour-long lecture on the evils of socialism, and when she asked my opinions on Marx, I said he had a lot of good ideas. Her face was priceless. Like, the question is, has she even read Marx? That's the true question. Chapstick. Ah. IDK Fireflies gives me feels. There are a few of the songs that really hit me emotionally, but so many of them are just like bops that are just like like the little boops. And yeah, some of them are pretty emotional. But yeah, been listening to more music. Only old Owl City though. We have one more news. We have one more. My voice is tired. Is there any way we're gonna get to 100 likes today? Maybe. Maybe not. Kid obsessed with Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy to Trans Adult Pipeline. Am I not alone in this? I wasn't like obsessed with Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy. I actually listened to Avril Lavigne's song Keep Holdin' On more than probably any of her other songs. To be fair, anything about childhood insomnia makes me emotional though. Oh, I guess I didn't really clock that that's exactly what that song was about. There were just so many different... There's so many different lyrics that don't necessarily make any sense in Owl City, and that's part of why I like it. Ooh, we are at 86 likes. Okay, maybe there's a chance that in the next little while we'll get up to 100. Ooh, baby. 62 concurrent viewers. Okay, we have the titular issue. We're about to talk about the title issue now. How many people want to know about the title issue? A band called Skillet. True. Yeah, you want to know? Okay. I guess... Oh, yeah. Okay, so hold on. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Title IX. I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's a protection in schools specifically for, oh, you're not allowed to discriminate on the basis of religion or on the basis of sex or on the basis of race. There are certain protected classes, and it's Title IX specifically has to do with educational environments. Like Title VII is, I think, workplaces, like different requirements for different areas. Title IX is education. And generally speaking, the way that this works is in the courts, a lot of the time, they understand the whole sex protection part of the Title IX to mean, yeah, that applies to trans people and to gay people because, for example, if you would hire a man who is married to a woman, but you would not hire a woman who is married to a woman, then you are doing sex discrimination because you're punishing the person for doing something that you associate with the other sex. And it's similar with trans people. If you would punish a man for wearing a dress, but you wouldn't punish a woman for wearing a dress, then that's sex-based discrimination, right? So we've just been kind of relying on the courts to pad this out for us and give us the protections. Like, thank goodness that the courts are interpreting it this way. But obviously that's a little bit weak because the courts can then change it. If one of these things gets appealed up to the Supreme Court, all it takes is one little technicality that they can take issue with, and then boom, there goes your Title IX protections. Like, there goes any protection that trans people have in the school, like, education environment. So what we're seeing now is that the U.S. Department of Education has actually updated it. They've updated it, and they're, first of all, doing a couple of different things. They're recognizing that sexual harassment is a type of sex discrimination, which is cool. Let's see. Oh, is this, wait, hold on, this is the wrong thing? Where does it say this in here? Like this is what was in, this was the link I clicked from Aaron's thing. Okay, I don't think that this is the right link, maybe. But there are new Title IX regulations which are stating that protections for LGBTQ students, like, it is forbidden to discriminate against them for sexual orientation or gender identity. So they're just basically updating the rules to reflect what the courts have been saying for a long time now, that this is sex discrimination if you discriminate against trans people, or like that gender identity is inherently part of these protections. There's going to be a backlash. This is a very surprising backlash, but there are 4 states, officials in at least 4 states, including Oklahoma, Louisiana, Florida, and South Carolina. They have directed schools to ignore these regulations, which is going to potentially set up a situation where the federal government starts suing the states for breaking federal law, effectively. There was a superintendent from Louisiana who decried the new Title IX regulations, saying that this could block teachers and other students from exercising what has been dubbed by some, quote, a right to bully trans students by using their old names and pronouns intentionally. Yeah, genuinely, these people are like, you shouldn't be able to force, you're compelling my speech to make me use your correct name and pronouns. They want to have the right to create a hostile environment for trans people. Like, that's effectively what they're advocating for, whether they mean to be or not. They're advocating, like, we want to have the right to make you feel like shit. Like, you want me to have, like, I want the right to be able to push you to the point of suicide without any repercussions. Like, because trans people are not a class of people, effectively. Like, that is kind of ultimately what's kind of happening there. That was a lot of kindas. Over in South Carolina, the school superintendent Ellen Weaver wrote in a letter that providing protections for trans and queer students under Title IX, quote, would rescind 50 years of progress and equality of opportunity by putting girls and women at a disadvantage in the educational arena. What? Apparently leaving trans kids out of her definition of those who deserve progress and equality for opportunity. She also directs schools to ignore the new directive while waiting for the court challenges. While South Carolina does not have a bathroom ban or statewide Don't Say Gay or Trans law, such bills are obviously still being proposed in the state. Florida Commissioner of Education Manny Diaz instructed schools not to implement the regulations, stating that these regulations are, quote, tantamount to gaslighting the country into believing that biological sex no longer has any meaning. Governor DeSantis, of course, approved of the letter, states that they will not comply. So here we have, yeah, Republican states are just flouting federal law. Like, that's federal law. And then, of course, in Oklahoma, this was the latest person to echo the sentiments. This is the guy who appointed Chaya Raichik from Libs of TikTok into an advisory role. So yeah, obviously, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I don't know what exactly they're planning on doing. I don't know what exactly it is. Like, they're just going to hemorrhage money. This is the thing about these Republican run states. It's the thing about these red states. Their economies are terrible. People are not moving there. People are moving away. They are not investing in the kinds of infrastructure that get more people there. They engage in frivolous lawsuits. They're about to get sued. Like, these states, if they just continue treating trans people like crap, which they're going to get sued by the federal government. And I hope, I guess, that process goes well, because there already has been at least one lawsuit where I think the federal government did sue, I think it was Alabama. I haven't checked on it in a long time, though. But they were suing on account of like this whole sports ban thing, and like you're breaching Title IX. As someone who's been to South Carolina, I can confirm the entire state is a portal to hell. I am begging transphobes to show me the trans person who says that biological sex has no meaning. Who are they? Where are they? Are they in the room with us right now? This is a classic Cat Black point that she's been making for years. So that's where I got this, is trans people are very aware of our biology. That's the whole reason we're going to the doctor to change our biology. Like, we are deeply aware of what our biological sex is and what that means. That doesn't mean that it's unchanging or that it defines who we are as people. That's the difference. We're not saying biological sex doesn't matter. I mean, we are kind of saying it doesn't really matter that much. Like, it's not imperative to your existence, I don't think. Like the difference between males and females and humans is just not huge. If you look at other species where there are huge size disparities, or where the males and females are totally different colors, you know, there are other species where the difference is much more meaningful. And when we say biological sex doesn't matter, we're saying this shouldn't matter for your access to healthcare. It shouldn't matter for whether you can get a job. It shouldn't matter for whether people treat you well or not. Like, those are the ways in which we're saying biological sex doesn't matter. And we're saying also almost every aspect of biological sex is changeable. Every meaningful aspect of biological sex is changeable. Like, we can totally change our hormone makeup, which changes all of our secondary sex characteristics. We can have surgery to have, like, we might not be fertile with the opposite genitals, but we can have the opposite genitals. Those surgeries were created for cisgender people. It's not like they were pioneered for trans people. So there's cis people out there with fake mutilated genitals, just like trans people, if that's the way that you're going to present them, you know, like, we can change all these things. So we're saying that biological sex should not dictate or define anything about your lives. So, but it's like, it doesn't literally mean nothing. I don't know why. I don't know what this accusation is. I think that maybe what they're implying when they say biological sex matters, I mean, they're trying to use a softer, more roundabout way of saying, basically, just, you can't change your biological sex. I will treat you like what I think your biological sex is, effectively. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, these people are trying to make it illegal to cross-dress. There's no skirts gene, there's no pants gene. It's not about biological sex. Yeah, when Greg Abbott talks, he's referring to trans people, but what he says is a man in a dress shouldn't be a teacher. He is declaring that men should dress a certain way, and that we should take action to make sure that men don't dress like women because that's too distracting and confusing. Has this guy never had Spirit Week? I guess he's too old for Spirit Week. But I remember when I was a kid, we would have Spirit Week, which is the same week as like a big game or something. And each day is like a different theme. And sometimes that theme is cross dressing, as problematic as we would probably consider that nowadays. When I was a kid, like when I was in high school back in 2009 or whatever, like, yeah, there was a day where all the cheerleaders came in wearing the football gear and the footballers all came in wearing the cheerleaders' uniforms. Like, it's a thing that should be fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Playing dress up is not a big deal. Yeah, most kids love playing dress up and they generally don't think of it. You don't need to think of it as more complicated than that. If you have a 3-year-old who's confused about a man wearing makeup, just say he likes wearing makeup. Like, you don't even have to go into the gender stuff. If we accept gender nonconforming people, then it's going to be a lot easier to accept trans people, I would think. I would like to think that both of those things go together a little bit. Yeah, just let people wear what they want to wear. It's not a big deal. Can you stop making a big deal out of it? Stop being so weird. And this doesn't even go into like drag being culturally significant and historically present for an extended period of time. Like, drag as a performance. I mean, even still, we've got whole RuPaul's Drag Race is, for a lot of cis people, like, that's their connection to queer life, which is obviously horrendous, but still. Hmm. All right, I guess that's maybe all we have on the 4 states choose to ignore Title IX. That's going straight in the notes. Notes. Coolio. Unless someone brings me some news that is just to die for. I think that's all the serious news today. I mean, those are all the segments I have anyway. I remember Ben Shapiro saying how he would not let his son wear shiny red shoes and instead got him cowboy boots, and how his son absolutely loved the boots. Cowgirls exist, fool. uh, no, that's blasphemy. There's no such thing as a cowgirl. That's only for boys. Ouch. I wonder what the quote, "it's not natural" people would think when they learn that over 90% of, uh, you say recorded, like 90% of known sex between giraffes is homosexual. Yeah, you can't make them acknowledge that. They will just ignore you. They'll just tell you you're lying. Yeah, sometimes cowgirls go backwards. Google reverse cowgirl for more details. I know I've been canceled for my take on marshmallows. I'm so sorry, y'all. Listen, I'm gonna look into some. I'm gonna look up some recipes for peanut butter pie. Holy shit! Whoever recommended that, it looks delicious. I don't need to be eating this kind of stuff right now. I'm literally trying to lose weight, but it looks so good. And if I pick a recipe that has marshmallow fluff in it, I'll tell you whether it was horrendous or not. Okay, thank you, Dizzy. Yeah, I don't want to eat marshmallows on their own. I'll eat them with chocolate. Statistically, the Daily Wire hosts have enough kids between them all that several will be queer, and we will have a good shot that one will be trans. Google's this. Good lord, there's a pennies in there. A pennies. Jix? Mm. Who eats marshmallows on their own? Weirdo behavior. Yeah, but I mean, I'll also, like, I don't think that they improve things if you, like, yeah, again, maybe the texture, if you cannot taste the marshmallow at all, I could see it. I had to hear a Spotify ad for the Ben Shapiro show, and it's making me regret cutting premium for costs. Yeah, I can write off premium, at least partially, for my job, because when we watch videos, obviously I don't want them to have ads on them. So it's like a good part of it is for the show so that we don't have to watch ads. But it is convenient in general to not have to. And I like not being concerned about whether the content that I'm watching has ads on it or not. Like, is this creator making money? Has this video been demonetized? It doesn't matter. I am watching with premium. As an ex-Mormon, I'm expecting some of my other currently Mormon families might end up coming out to the gay farm. Marshmallow test kid 1. Yum, marshmallow kid 2. I waited so now I got 2 marshmallows. Lux, you call this a reward? I try to watch all your ads and click on a lot of them. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you click through on all conservative ads, they have to pay more, and then you get put on a paid retargeting list. There's a reason why I absolutely could go, by the way, I'm trying to get to 100 likes today. Can we make it happen? I'm not going to be streaming for much longer, but I could go into my Google Ads settings and I could remove political ads. Like, there's no way for me to only get political ads that I agree with. I would have to remove all political ads. The reason that I haven't done that is because I'm just making money off of these conservatives. Like, you guys are not going to be persuaded by them. You're not going to go click in order to... You're not going to go subscribe to PragerU. You know? If you click the ad, or even if you just watch the ad, that's me getting money from the Daily Wire or whatever, PragerU. Remember, watch 30 seconds of the ad before you click through, according to Kitty Tick, and then I will get paid. If you do hate the ad, watch 30 seconds and then directly block that ad. Eventually, you won't get right-wing stuff anymore. Because listen, y'all, it is serving you advertisements based on what it thinks you want to see. And so if you're watching political content, it's going to show you political ads. So you have to click and go, I don't want to see specifically Ben Shapiro ads. I do love YouTube Premium. It's extremely convenient. Yes, Premium is good stuff. It does take a little bit of time, but Daily Wire is gone for me now. Good. I feel like conservatives deliberately target their ads toward people who are looking for trans content because they want to catch people who are trying to learn about trans issues and indoctrinate them. I don't think that they have the ability to target things like that. I think that that would be a decision that gets made on Google's end, or not even decision, but rather algorithmically. Just like, this person watches political content, point blank, and then maybe there's a couple of keywords within that. but I don't think it's intentional. Because conservatives get ads for stuff that they don't agree with too, you know, and they get mad about it. Oh my god, my eyeball. It's kind of fun. I'm like, I don't even know what any of these algorithms think of me anymore because I don't I don't click ads, I don't view ads. When you buy ads, you can choose how to target them based on something like hashtags, like restaurant ads on foodie YouTubers, stuff like that. Listen, it's not that okay. So food is a category, right? Politics is a category. Alcohol is a category. Like all of these different things, but they like the politics subcategory doesn't get any more specific. Like, of course, if you have a restaurant and you're putting out ads, you want that content to play against food content. People are already watching food content. That is a broad category. But as far as YouTube is concerned, as far as I'm aware, based on what I can control, like, do I want ads that have to do with such and such and such? I don't have the ability to go hashtag trans. It's just politics or not. I wonder if it is more specific on the advertiser end, though. Your eyeball just dropped? My eyeball? I just dunked a red vine into soy sauce and have invented a new tier of debauchery. It's salty, it's sweet, it's umami. Why? Why would you do this? Can we get to 100 likes? 100 likes. Okay, apparently on the advertising targeting end, you can get very specific. Oh, okay. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but maybe they are specifically targeting trans-related content. $95 likes, 95 likes. Umami? I prefer umami. True. Alchemy Rainey in the YouTube chat genuinely says, I kept thinking umami was umami, and I cringed every time I heard it until I learned what it actually meant. That was only a month ago. I remember there being some TV commercial. I think I might have even learned the word umami from a like TV commercial. So the first time I ever heard it, it was in I saw how it was spelled and was like, oh, this is a Japanese word. It means the savory yumminess. I've recently realized that you can add a little bit of soy sauce to a lot of different things, and it really zhuzhes thing up a little bit. Like I had a pot roast recently that part of the salt, I just did a little bit of soy sauce. I reduced salt, add a little bit of soy sauce, and I was like, man, like you would never be able to pick out that one flavor in the medley, but it definitely adds something to it. It definitely like makes me salivate. I'm salivating. Soy sauce is a great tenderizer. I've heard that. I don't really marinate things. Oh yeah, I've used sesame oil too. Cause it's like it really it fundamentally changes a dish, I think. IMO soy sauce is way too intense in terms of flavor. Well, I'm not saying like that's my primary seasoning. I'm like a little bit of soy sauce in with a bunch of other shit. Yeah, we arrived at food again. We're good at this. In the pot roast, it would have made the meat extra soft in the right way. And like I'm saying, I put like at most half a tablespoon, maybe maybe 1 tablespoon of soy sauce in a fucking like 6-quart pot roast. Yeah, mama, I know you drink Worcestershire straight up. Soy sauce is my secret ingredient for my mom's meatballs, and they go so hard. Yeah. like a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of Worcestershire in some meatballs. Delicious. I used miso paste in my pressure cooked chicken and it was delicious. For a bit, at some point my partner got some miso soup packets. So you can take the miso soup and then like the garnish and you just make a miso soup. So I did use those to cook for a bit and then I was like, you know what, I should actually get a tub of miso paste. So now I have a tub of miso paste to cook with. Gotta go, too hungry. Bye, gays. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dip before too long and have some afternoon yumminess, some food. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't decided. But, excuse me. Ooh, apple cider vinegar is really good to cook with, too. A tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and a little soy sauce goes in my pot roast. It also makes a great basting thing with pepper and spices for a tri-tip on the grill. Delicious. We have 99 likes. I was hoping to get to 100. Why are we all so food today? I don't know. Sundays often end up very food related. Good night, Atreyu. Thank you for joining us from across the pond. I've never had Marmite on toast. Hey, there we are at 100 likes. Amazing. Soak tomatoes and cucumbers in white vinegar for a summer salad a la Louisiana. Ooh. Don't forget to poke your roast on the grill. Poke? I know that I'm supposed to brown it before I put it. I always I brown the outside of the meat and then I put it in there for the long term. Isn't kefir like camel milk? Or isn't that? What is kefir? It's fermented milk. It doesn't have to be camel milk. Okay. Yeah, I have not tried kefir before. And I'm not probably going to try a lot of new dairy products right now. It's like yogurt you can drink. Do we feel like the process of turning something into yogurt or cheese is going to kill the bird flu? If pasteurization doesn't totally kill the bird flu, do we think that it's going to be okay in cheese or kefir format? Time for another rice pudding. Delicious. But no, I've never tried kefir. Oh, sleepy boy. The sleepiest boy. Well, we just have to go vegan, y'all. Nuh-uh. Yogurt is just gonna force the deadly pathogens to fight for dominance against lactobacillus. True. Try mare's milk straight from the horse's mom. All right, on that note, I'm gonna leave now. All right. Thank you everybody for joining. Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate your likes and your comments and your donations and all that stuff. Thank you so much. Appreciate you contributing. Feel free to join the Discord so that you can talk to your friends when I'm not streaming. And you can always suggest ideas for what you want us to talk about next time in the stream recommendations channel there. But yeah, I hope that you have a good time between now and Wednesday. I'm going to do my best. All right, later.